Hi, I'm Maria Thea Harris, or Velo Sews on social media. Welcome back to Sew Over 50's podcast on Sew Organised Style. Grab a cuppa, support this podcast on Patreon, and relax with us. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel, like and comment so more people can see as well as hear from our podcast guests. This is the second episode with Alison Martin, or Sew Like Dotty on social media. As you heard in last week's episode, her life in retirement is certainly filled with lots of sewing community commitments, as well as enjoying her personal life. Let's watch and listen to Alison now. This is something that you've developed over a few years, but you've also been running, and I noticed this on Instagram, a gift to November.
Yeah. That is something I created, which has just grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. And it happened on holiday. We were on holiday in September, and there's lots of fabulous challenges. And I just said to Carl, it would be lovely to have a challenge that was based around the holidays or Christmas or any other holidays. But it can't be in December, it's too late.
Yes.
So I said, I think it needs to happen in November, because what I was finding was anybody that I was chatting to was saying, I'm still sewing pajamas on Christmas Eve and trying to get last minute makes done. So I thought, right, if we do it in November, and I was trying to think of the name, and it was Carl who said, what about a gift to November, like the movie A Gift to Remember?
Yeah.
But do the play on words. So Adam from Adam Sews was my co-host for a couple of years, and then I went solo with it last year, and obviously this year I feel like I've got much more time. But I did change the format of it slightly last year, so rather than posting on the last day of the month, people posted their makes throughout the whole of the month, which generated a bit of a conversation on Instagram as well. And a lot of people would say, I want to enter, but I'm not on Instagram. So I opened up a separate email address, and there were 700 entries by email last year, which was incredible. And some beautiful, long emails, which I've now had to put a response on saying I will read everything, but it's just impossible for me to reply to them all because, it kind of takes up the whole of my month, really. But I love it.
Well, in total, it looked like you had entries from 21 countries.
Yeah.
And 2,178 entries.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too was on the Sew Over 50 account, there was a post about a gift to November as well.
Yeah, that's right. The Sew Over 50 community have supported the challenge from the beginning. It's been, fabulous. I've had a lot, particularly with Sandy, I've had a lot of conversations with her and just felt that it's been supported from the beginning, which is just lovely. And when the first year we did it, and I was like, oh, this entry's from Australia or South Africa or France. I'd like to see it reach and sort of ripple out that far. It's just great. I love it. But equally, going back to what I said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's the first thing that you do, and we're all very critical, aren't we? Like, I've made this, but the stitching's a bit wonky, or blah blah blah. We always do that. It's not about something looking, fabulous. It's just let's be proud of the things that we make, and if you're making something as a gift, I do have to filter it out a little bit, because I did twig to a couple of people that were making them. They were handmade, but they were selling things, and the idea is you're making it as a gift. So I think each year we just learn to sort of tweak and make the I don't want it to have loads of rules, but it is about a gift. It's not about something you're making as part of a business. And the only thing I've sort of said is if you're making a scrunchie and you're making 20 scrunchies, that would still class as one make, because things that are pretty quick and things. But last year I did some monitoring I got the old Excel spreadsheet out and sort of put categories in. So as literally, I'm very old school, so I literally have a spreadsheet which starts at number 1 and goes as far as it's going to go, with the person's name, their Instagram or email, and what they've made and what country they're from. So I was able to sort of put some statistics out with the percentages last year of
Yep.
a lot more bags last year, a lot of pajamas and sweatshirts and things like that. Obviously, depending on the season, which hemisphere you're in. Um, but I quite enjoyed looking at the statistics behind it last year as well.
Mm.
It was interesting and nice to share. So I did a wrap up vlog that had some of that information on at the end of it last year just to share with people.
I can see that, from last year, you're experiencing the same issues that Sober 50 is experiencing with hashtags. So, this month is the month of June, and for Sober 50, we promote the hashtag Sober 50 JUN, the first three letters of the month. And I noticed that last year you had to have it as AGTN24 so that you knew that it was 2024.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I shortened it. So I made the hashtag shorter rather than a gift to November. I just shortened it down. But I, it's actually when people post that picture,
Yeah.
I was having to go through all of the pictures on the
Mm,
hashtag. And when you do that, they don't come up in the order that they've been posted either. So I got very familiar with pictures and I've recorded that one. That's a new one. I need to record that one to make sure I'm just going over and over it to make sure I didn't miss anyone out.
yeah. I know how that feels because I do social media editing for Sober 50 1 week a month. And that's why we have to make sure that our followers know what that month's
Yeah.
hashtag is so that we can find them because they don't come up as soon as they go up.
It's hard, isn't it? And I think what you've done by just using the first three letters of the month is great. It makes it nice and short. You remember it yourself, so it's very easy to think, what month are we in? Right, it's the first three letters that I put on. I couldn't do it without the vlogger community coming behind the challenge. And
Mm.
Rachel, French Seams is I call her Mrs. Christmas. So I kind of reach out. I'm always putting the schedule out, who wants to go in where, but I always go to Rachel and say, like, I'd love you to be one of the first people because she just radiates Christmas and loves it. So it's always good to start with that, that energy level, isn't it, in the vlogs as well. But we can't all do all of the challenges because
Mm.
we've got other things that we need to do. But I do really feel like it's been just supported from the off and continues to be supported. And as we do have a Sewn vlogger group where we can go to and chat and things as well. So it's just lovely to have that support network and be part of that support network as well.
So you've been on YouTube since 2021.
Yeah.
What made you move to YouTube? Because you've done over 270 videos now.
I think I am a very visual learner.
Yep.
So when I've come back into sewing, I remember opening a paper pattern for the first time and thinking, what does that all mean? I couldn't remember. It was like learning a new language again.
Yep.
Patterns had really changed because all the indie patterns were out there. And I, if I want to learn to do something, whether it's sewing or cooking or gardening, my go-to is to search on YouTube.
Right.
That's my learning style.
Okay.
So I felt that I'd taken a lot and I thought I could do this. I used to work as a guest designer on a like a jewelry shopping channel in the UK. So I would get sent gemstone kits and I would go on TV and I'd make them up at home and then you'd go and do like live demonstrations. So I feel very comfortable sort of in that environment. I always think this is me. So yeah, you either like me or you don't like me, but I get things right and I get things wrong. So I just thought, yeah, let's have a go and see where it goes, just
Yeah.
to sort of give back a little bit, I guess. Um, and now that I'm working with Baby Lock, and I'm a pattern insider for Sew Over It, and particularly with Baby Lock, it's great to be able to do some demonstration and technique vlogs as well, because they are the things that I would, I'll be sewing with chatty sewing vlogs on, but if I hit a bump, I'll be kind of right, hang on. I need to go. Let's do a bit of research. Let's find some
Yeah.
a vlog that I can follow on that and save them as well. So it's nice to kind of be given back to both areas, I guess, now.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing it in spades, really. You're doing a lot. Um, and even, the fact that it's been what, 4 years, 5 years that you've been on YouTube and there's over 270 videos. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's kind of being organized with it, I think.
Yeah,
And I have a diary and I plan what I'm doing. I plan my makes in advance.
yeah,
So half of my vlogs are generally my makes, and then the other half will be other things. Sometimes it might be fabric that I've got, sometimes it might be talking about pattern,
yeah,
sometimes it might be a technique, but I do plan it out. I try to schedule it because I find if I don't, I don't know where I'm going with it either.
yeah.
Um, and I like a bit of structure in my head. I work better if I've got that, but equally, I can change my mind. So the sun came out 2 days ago. I was going to do a how to do pin tucks on a cover stitch machine. That was the vlog I was going to record, and the sun came out, and I thought I need a sundress, a shared sundress. So I did a sharing one instead. That's fine.
And I can tell listeners and viewers that the sharing video that you did is really useful because I had a look at it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And so you get a lot of training with Baby Lock because you're an ambassador.
Yeah, the training, there's an academy in the UK, which is a little bit different to, I think, other parts of the world. Every 2 weeks, there are 3 days of different courses that you can go on for different machines. So that was kind of up to me which ones I wanted to go down and access. So I did some that were relevant to the machines that I had.
Yep.
So I already had Baby Lock machines that I was kind of knocking on the door saying, let me be a brand ambassador because I'm always talking about you. I thought I'll do the overlocker one. I feel like I've got a really good knowledge base about using the overlocker. I
Mm.
was doing rolled hems, I gather on it, I was doing different things. I tried doing zip insertion on it, but I thought maybe I'll just learn something extra and I'll learn loads more. Jan, that's the trainer's got just this crazy level of knowledge about threads and her background was in she wrote knitting machine patterns. That's how she started. So
Really? Wow.
I'm not a knitter or a crochet person, so I've not got any knowledge of wool or anything like that. But with the Primo machine, a little bit like you can do things that are a little bit like cording, so it does the top stitching, but you can integrate wool and different things into your stitches. The Sashiko machine, that wasn't something that I'd used, and I sort of tagged that day onto the end of a different course that I was doing, and I loved it. It was so slow and creative, and it kind of made me think, yeah, I want to do a bit more of this sort of not work, but sewing.
Mm.
Um, and obviously, it's opened up networks and meeting people that are that I can pull from their knowledge but also it means if somebody asks me something and I don't know, I can go straight and find out that answer for them as well. So people
Great.
do send me messages and sort of just ask me further questions, or somebody sent me a question about the sharing vlog about what did I do with the thread, because I do think I've not got a huge setup. I've not got the metal frame with all the cameras on or anything like that. So, it's just me, my hands getting in the way of the camera and things like that, to kind of do my best. But you
Yeah.
really need to have your camera taped to your forehead and then you get the best view, but that's just not possible.
No.
Um, yeah, but I enjoy making those. And obviously, in the editing process, I go through it and I think, would this make sense to me? You've got to be real because,
Mm.
I've bumped into people. We were traveling on the motorway and we were in the service station having a coffee, and this guy came over and said, "Are you Alison?" And I was like, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, my wife watches you. She's in the toilet." And they came. You can't be one thing on screen and then
No.
one thing in person, and that's really draining to try to do that. You've
Mm.
just got to be. I mean, I mess things up. I get things wrong. I don't always say the right thing, but you can only be you.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun, isn't it? You watch people that you're drawn to. We're all drawn to different people,
Yeah.
but that's
That's
because we're
true.
all different people.
On Sober 50, Lena is one of the Sell Over It Pattern Insiders that you're part of as
Yeah.
well. What what do you do as part of being a pattern insider? What's
So
it?
it feels like a secret club, doesn't it? But it's not
It
really.
does.
They kind of reached out. on Instagram, I think, and said we're looking for more pattern insiders.
Hmm.
I'd been a pattern tester for the dressmaker's closet, so I kind of assumed it would be pattern testing, but they said no, it's not pattern testing. We've done that, so that was kind of a little bit relief that you're not checking all of the words and you check,
Yeah.
all of that. So with Pattern Insiders, I think they put out about 8 patterns a year now, garments and accessories, which I love. And we make 4 a year. That's a commitment that we do, but you get to
Okay.
choose which ones you want to do.
Yep.
And then what I also love is we're encouraged to be creative. So we don't receive a pattern and we're not expected to follow that pattern exactly. So if it was for this pattern and I thought, oh, actually, I might want to change the sleeve or alter the length or just hack it around a little bit, which I quite like to do.
Yep.
We're encouraged to do that because then when they're shared, it shows like so much versatility as well. And as a little perk out of that, we get access to all of the patterns and the stitch school. So there's a win-win on both sides. But again, it's been part of another community as well because there's a Facebook group, and
Mm.
when people are making things, they start to pop up, and you kind of think, oh, that's really nice, and I like how they've photographed that, and yeah, it's nice. And some things, there's been a shirt this year which is a beautiful shirt, but that's not something that I kind of tend to wear. And then the bucket bag came out, and I was like, oh. My mum had one of those in the 70s, a suede one with tassels on it, reminded, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to make that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm really lucky. I feel, really lucky to be part of that, to be a pattern insider, and yeah, it gives me access to even more things to be creative with, really. It's lovely. I just think the sewing community in general is a lovely community to be part of. It's very supportive. It's not competitive. Yeah, it's just a real positive, isn't it?
And you told me earlier that you're part of 4 different local sewing groups. You go to four
Well,
different ones?
there are four. One
Mm.
I've I've not been to because it's generally on the same day as the one that I run with Dawn and
Yep.
Mags. So there's So Coastal, which Lynn, my friend, and Louise run, which I think you're chatting to as well.
Yes.
There's Sawtune, which I think was kind of where it all
Yes.
started. So
Yep.
that's where I met Lynn, and obviously Tamlin runs that. So I go there, and then my own in-person one that I go to, and I can't remember the name of Sarah's, so I'm so sorry. But that's generally on the same day, so I've not been able to get to that one. But they're all within maybe 20 minutes or so of where I live. So yeah, I'm really lucky.
So before we finish up, if there are any listeners who are thinking about starting a sewing group locally, what advice would you give them?
I'd just go for it because the rewards for you will be that you see people coming together. The reward for me of going to one was I'd relocated and I didn't really know many people. And I
Yep.
know the people, sewists that have joined different groups, and that's how they've met and made friends. And I think it can be a bit scary, but I'd rented sort of rooms in my other role. So just get in touch with, has anybody got a room? Put something out there on social media. We're looking
Yep.
to use space, because you might be surprised the type of spaces that are available. There's somewhere near us that's like a bit of a nightclub, but they've got fitness classes going in there in the daytime because everybody's trying to make maximum use of their space.
Yeah.
And it's that business model, isn't it? It's kind of how much will the rent be, public liability, how do I manage the bookings? Don't feel like you've got to do it on your own. There might be somebody locally like we did that we've kind of said, actually, we can each take a bit of
Yep.
responsibility for this.
Hmm.
Obviously you can run it as a business or you can run it as non-profit, but like I wouldn't have known about that supermarket cafe community room option if Dawn hadn't have known about it. So sometimes if you just put a post out, there's lots of, the local area that you're in, Facebook groups, that
Yep.
kind of thing,
Yep.
saying I'm looking for a room to develop a craft group. Is anybody got any knowledge of that? Ask your friends, and then it'll happen, and use people like yourself, to help you get the message out there, kind of. There's a sewing social directory on Instagram.
Hmm.
So with Sew Virtual, I just contacted them and said, can you help me? You know, like if I put a post on, they'll share that post and like you guys do. And so it just helps to get the message out. And once you get the message out, it starts to, develop from there. But yeah, I know it's because there might be a financial commitment from you in terms of renting a room, I guess is the biggest
Yeah.
risk. So if that, the costs in that in the UK can go from really tiny to huge.
Yeah.
Just be mindful of that, because obviously you don't want to be running something that's costing you and you're not making it, you're making a loss on it.
Yeah.
I think if you reach out, to people, and sometimes people will give you some space, for very little cost. You don't, church. Our room it's not fancy. We don't bake homemade cakes, which people would be grateful for because I can't really cook. So, we don't turn up with Victoria sandwich cakes and things. We can buy those downstairs from our little fund if we need to.
Yeah.
But we get tea and coffee provided. We've got the tables, we've got cables, and that's all you need to get going, really. You don't really need to provide loads of things. You can take your ironing board and your iron for pressing, and you're good to go. So don't feel like you've got to provide a lot of equipment. You don't.
You don't.
Just give it a go.
And the people who turn up, they'll probably bring equipment, spare equipment
Yeah,
that will
yeah,
be used by everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then it's we all evolve, don't we? So it's as you're kind of maybe thinking, actually, I've just bought a new cutting mat. You might say, actually, do you want to? Is this older one any
Yeah.
use to you? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And interestingly, on So Virtual, I've got two ladies from the Atlanta area of America
Right.
who one of them was saying, because I've got people who get up at 5 a.m., because the times are very
Yeah.
different to come on So Virtual and things. So I said, why don't you go on our Facebook group and connect up with Suzanne, because you're in the similar area and you might be able to do something, together, sew together, or, so there'll probably be more connections than you realize. What I've seen is there are a lot of people out there in the world that are sewing, and a lot of people in Europe don't have what we have, and so just take a chance and go for it.
Brilliant. Thanks for your advice, Alison, and thank you for letting everybody who is either watching or listening know about what you're doing with Sew Like Dotty and what you're also doing in the community to help others connect and sew together.
Oh, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This episode of Sew Over 50 podcast on Sew Organized Style was audio and video produced by me, Maria Thea Harris, in my sewing room with permission of Alison. Sound by Kanife on YouTube. Many thanks for the ongoing support of the podcast Patreon contributors. Their ongoing support each month enables me to develop this podcast for you for free. You can subscribe to Sew Organized Style podcast spelt with an S not a Z on all good podcast apps. Make sure you go back and listen to our free Sew Over 50 podcast archive on Sew Organized Style podcast. Make sure you direct message Sandy and the editors at Sew Over 50 on Instagram to contribute to the ongoing posts and challenges the team promotes to the sewing community of over 53,000 followers. I'll look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.